On this edition of the Local Lap, we'll be in studio with the first family of Wisconsin open-wheel racing, the Wilkies. We'll travel to Angel Park Speedway in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin for their USAC National Midget Doubleheader. Bill Holland will keep us in the groove, plus our newest segment, the Local Lap Extra.
Hi, I'm Courtney Erfurt, driver of the number 25 Midget, and the Local Lap starts now.
The Local Lap is brought to you by Tri-City National Banks. Large enough to serve you, small enough to know you. Visit any of the 44 bank branches serving Southeast Wisconsin and let them help you with all of your banking needs. Visit tcnb.com. And by QPS Employment Group. Whether you're looking for work or looking for talent, QPS is your staffing solution. Visit us at qpsemployment.com. Now, your host of the Local Lap, Jim Tretow.
Welcome to the Local Lap, where the racers and fans stay connected. Our Bill Holland loves going to the racetrack and bringing back footage to share with you from venues and series throughout the upper Midwest. What's Bill been up to lately? We'll find out right now in this week's edition of In the Groove.
Following the path of a famous racing father can lead to big expectations. Jim Sauter Jr. knows this as well as anyone.
My dad doesn't put any pressure on me, but I have a lot of pride in carrying on his name. And to me, he's my hero. And, you know, I couldn't be happier than to have my last name. I mean, I wouldn't want to be an Earnhardt or anybody else. I'm happy to be a Sauter.
Jim Sauter Sr. is a Wisconsin racing legend. His sons Jay, Tim, and Johnny all followed him into the NASCAR ranks. Jim Sauter Jr. doesn't have the same kind of driving resume, but early on in 2010, he's getting it done on the Central Wisconsin short tracks.
He's kind of like us, that he's not afraid to try anything, you know. And me and Aaron can kind of throw ideas together, and he can throw ideas at us, and, you know, we'll give each idea the equal opportunity to try some stuff, and we're running a lot of different stuff than a lot of other guys are, just for the simple fact is we're willing to try something, and we're not going to go by what everyone else is doing.
In his first season driving for Kuhn Motorsports, it's Sauter Jr. taking the checkered flag in the super late model feature at Golden Sands Speedway's opener. And he'll come right back to go 2 for 2 with a second feature win in 2 nights at Golden Sands. On this night in Marshfield, it's Sauter with fast qualifying time and in the hunt for the points championship at 2 racetracks.
What I want to accomplish is just be successful in late model racing, if that's what it means. I mean, I'm not looking to go to the next level. I'm not, you know, if it happens, that would be awesome. But that's not something I'm just basing everything off of. As long as I can be successful at whatever level I'm racing at, that's good enough for me.
These late models have at it for 25 laps on the half-mile Marshfield Motor Speedway. Brian Goodwin in the 97 and Don Thunder Turner bring the field to green, and this one is off to a very fast start. Thunder Turner, out of La Crosse, Wisconsin, has more than 40 years experience wheeling late models. He'll put the 7 car out to the early lead. Who's going to make a charge from the back of the pack? Hard-driving hometown favorite Dean LaPointe in the 15 and Ben Pettis in the 711 car have their work cut out for them. But this is a track known for side-by-side racing. You can get to the front if you have the car to do it. Up front, battle for the lead. Thunder Turner raced with Jim Sauter Sr. back in the 70s and 80s. Now it's Jim Sauter Jr. wheeling the 51 past Turner's 7 car to take the lead. Now Turner's in a battle for second with young Ronnie Reen in the 29. And the 19-year-old from Bloomer, Wisconsin will make the pass to take over second. Jim Sauter Jr.'s season is off to a flying start, but the finish of this feature is very much up for grabs. Ronnie Reen has caught Sauter. Reen is a 19-year-old dirt racer in only his 6th night of racing on asphalt. Sauter literally grew up around this sport. This is all about the first 2 cars. No one else is even in the picture. And Ronnie Reen will make the move to take the lead from Jim Sauter Jr. with only 3 laps to go. This young driver survived a scary rollover in a dirt car not long ago. Tonight, he's wheeling the number 29 to his very first feature win in a super late model. Ronnie Reen is headed to victory lane at Marshfield Motor Speedway.
It's awesome. I mean, it's always good just to even be able to compete with these guys of such caliber. I mean, they can race with the best of them, and we ran with them, right with them, and we ended up getting the win tonight, and it's awesome for being my rookie year. I mean, we got a great team, and I think we can do it some more yet. I think we just got a good car. We got good people backing us, and our crew's all good. They know what they're doing. I mean, they've been around the game for a long time. That's a big help. I wouldn't be here where I am right now without my crew. And just, I mean, coming here every week and following all the fast guys and learning from them, I really got to thank almost everybody around this place.
At Marshfield Motor Speedway, I'm Bill Holland in the groove on the local lap, where the racers and fans stay connected.
We're honored to be joined on the local lap by the first family of Wisconsin racing, the Wilkie Racers. Ralph Wilkie, Greg Wilkie, and his son Chris Wilkie, 3 generations of a 4-generation tradition that started back in the 1930s. Winning the Indy 500, winning 300 races, national championships. It's a pleasure to have you guys here. And Ralph, we're going to start with you. When it comes to racing, how far back does it go for you and your father, Bob?
It goes all the way back to 1938 when he bought his first race car from the Marchese brothers. And it was, for me, it was an every Friday night affair up at the State Fair Park.
And when it came to the 50s, you might have got more on the national map when it became the 3 Ws. Wilkie, Ward, and Watson. Tell us about that special pairing that was so successful.
When my father finally decided to go IndyCar racing, his first choice of a driver was Jim Rathman, and he decided at the last minute to not leave his present car owner, which was Lindsey Hopkins. So my father's next choice was George Amick, and that didn't work out. He took a job from somebody else after he originally accepted an offer from my father. And at that point, my dad even asked me, he said, gee, what are we going to do now, Ralph? And I said, well, we probably won't win any races our first year in USAC and IndyCar racing. I said, but the guy that wins at Milwaukee often is Roger Ward. And I said, I think he's available because his present car owner, who passed away, and the mechanic has been running the team for a year. I said, so I don't know if you can get Roger Ward. I think that'd be a good choice. And so he went and got Roger Ward, and I guess the rest is pretty much history, and it was a good choice.
Was that in 1958, and you won the Indy 500 the very next year?
Well, yeah, the program was put together at the end of '58, and well, then we went on to win Indianapolis and the national championship, and so our first year it might have been our best year of all the how many years we were doing that, but it was a very successful year for us.
You won again with Ward at the 500.
Yes.
You won in '68 with your father as a car owner for Bobby Unser.
That's exactly right.
And how about that tradition and all the things that were changing in Indy cars then? Front engine, rear engine, wings, no wings. I mean, '68 was a lot different than '59.
Right. '59, we won the race, and then we won it again. In '62, our cars were first and second, and they were both built by A.J. Watson. And then in '64, when the rear engine cars were becoming the thing to have, we built a couple of those, or AJ built a couple of those. The first one that we built was really quite successful, but then they started into ground effects, and that wasn't something that you built in your backyard like Watson did. It was something that took a lot more engineering and so forth. So we kind of fell behind a step or two there for quite a while until we got Bobby Unser, and we got some backing that helped us get some of the cars from Dan Gurney. Unser drove for us for a few more years, and actually then my father died in 1970, and I took the thing over for 12 years, and I think you can count the races that I won on one hand. My father's in the Hall of Fame at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but I don't even think they know I was there.
And Ralph, let's talk about your family and taking your boys to the racetrack, Scott, Greg, and Mark, and what that was like. Were they going to every race with you? Did they spend parts of the month of May with you?
No, my oldest son, Scott, wasn't much into racing. He was more of the business. He was taking care of the business part, a leader. And Greg, well, they all were doing their share, okay? Greg and Mark, they were the ones that were involved in racing. And the other two sons were Scott and David were pretty much, well, they all were involved in the business, okay, big time. but they weren't involved in the race car, just Greg and Mark pretty much.
Stay tuned for more of the first family of auto racing, the Wilkies, when we return. The local lap is brought to you by Plymouth Dirt Track, bringing you affordable family fun and entertainment. Racing starts at 6 p.m. each and every Saturday evening. For upcoming events, visit their website, PlymouthDTR.com. By Super Shocks, shocks that deliver proven winners. Log on to supershocks.com. Welcome back to the local lap, where the racers and fans stay connected. Here's more of our exclusive interview with the Wilkies, the first family of auto racing in Wisconsin. And Greg, let's bring you into the equation now as far as how you got involved. What were your earliest memories and what made you want to become what is now a very successful mechanic and owner in any form of racing you decided to get yourself into?
It was something that at a young age we participated in going to races when my grandfather's cars run in Indianapolis. My dad's Indy cars, when he was fielding Indy cars, we were actually on the road sometimes even supporting the pits and helping when we were old enough, and got the bug to do racing, and it's kind of always had the competitive nature, always had the opportunity to have good drivers in my cars because of the affiliation with the IndyCar. We kind of use that as leverage sometimes. So we always had good drivers, whether it would be Tom Bigelow, George Snyder, Johnny Parsons, and Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Casey Kane, Ken Schrader. I've got a resume for a kid named Carl Edwards in my office that I talked to but really never hired.
And Greg, you have some success to show for it, some very important trophies when it comes to midget racing. I would think that it's pretty cool to have a couple with us tonight. Why don't you tell us about the importance of these special trophies you brought with you?
Well, the couple we brought tonight, in midget racing we have maybe 6 or 8 premier events a year that take place. 2 of those events, one is Fireman's Nationals and one is Chili Bowl Nationals, which I'm sure everybody is familiar with.
But everybody guns for those 2 trophies. 240 entries at the Chili Bowl. 60-some entries are common when it comes to the Fireman Nationals. Does that get you geeked up knowing it's home turf and in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin at the Angel Park Speedway to win these and win them with such great repetition?
Well, it does. Fireman's Nationals, Angel Park Speedway, it's our home track, and we don't run up there every week anymore chasing the national schedule, but we run up there half times a year, keep our skills honed, and there's a little added pressure to protect that as something that kind of belongs to us, because this is our hometown, or at least home area. So,
Chris, it has to be something that was inbred of sorts, but you really wanted to probably tackle this from a very early age. Talk about your memories of running at the racetrack and then getting a chance now to work on the race cars and win so many races with your dad.
When I was younger, I never had a choice to not go to the racetrack when I even couldn't make decisions, so I always ended up at the racetrack, and I guess when you do something so long it becomes a learned thing, and going to the racetrack became my lifestyle, and watching my dad work on race cars, I followed right in his footsteps, and I follow him around, and we go to the race shop and he'd work on stuff, and I'd try to do what he'd do, and he'd teach me everything he could do, and then I started doing it, and it was a seamless transition to being a kid in the stands to working on race cars to going to every race and, standing in victory lane with my father at, both standing proud that we both worked on a race car.
Well, Chris and Greg, as you know, it's been a family tradition for a number of years, and we'll finish with you, Ralph, and talking about the pride you have and knowing that the successes you've had and the involvement in motorsports is still living on strong in 4 generations now of Wilkie racers.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and I kind of like to brag on my son and my grandson. They've come a long way together, and they're very, very good at what they do. I'm proud of these guys. They do a good job.
And there's nothing like seeing Ralph Wilkie run to victory lane 4 laps before the finish, knowing they got that race in the bag. The Wilkie Racers in 4 generations, available in a book, Leader Card Racing, A Dynasty of Speed. Certainly something to check out. It's been a great pleasure having you guys on the program. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
There are 2 nights of point races for the Mopar-USAC National Midget Series at the Angel Park Speedway in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin. Let's head to the track with Bill Holland.
At Angel Park Speedway, where after some uncertainty, the race car roar is back. Mopar USAC National Point Leader Brian Clausen is here, and this midget show should be something, Brian.
Yeah, we're really excited to be here at Angel Park Speedway. This is a place that has a lot of midget history, and you look at over the years, a lot of great midget drivers have come from this place and have ran here quite a bit. So this is always a stop on our schedule that we look forward to coming to. It's one of the premier midget tracks in the country, and just so much fun to come up here and race.
Grass Valley, California, a long way from the upper Midwest, but Brad Sweet, you've got definite reasons for wanting to be here.
Yeah, definitely. We always love coming here to Angel Park, and it's always a fun atmosphere. There's a great crowd and a lot of history here, so it's a lot of fun to come up here and race.
Your racing team, certainly one that people are talking about. Your involvement with Casey Kane and a top midget racing team.
Yeah, definitely. Casey started USAC racing, 4 or 5 years ago, and we bring really competitive cars every weekend, and hopefully this is another weekend we'll be right up front.
The veterans talk about the history and the tradition here at Angel Park. As a young driver, is that something you've learned about and have an appreciation for?
Yeah, definitely. I always heard about Angel Parks on Sunday nights, and the crowds and the cars, and how USAC would come up here and get beat by the locals and stuff. It definitely has a rich tradition up here at midget racing, and hopefully it can come back a little bit, and hopefully we can put on a good show for the fans this weekend.
And now for the highlights of the Mopar USAC National Midget Series action at Angel Park Speedway. Here's Dean Strom.
The Mopar USAC National Midget Series at Angel Park Speedway in Sun Prairie, Wisconsin for the first of a big two-night doubleheader weekend. Pole sitter Brad Kuhn leads the 20-car field down to the green flag. Kuhn in the 17B gets a great early jump. Behind him, Jerry Coombs Jr. in the Wilkie Pack number 11 battles side by side with Dave Darland in the 71, while Brad Sweet in Casey Kane's number 49 is close behind. Lap 1 in the books, and Brad Kuhn is already working the cushion and opens up a 5-car length advantage. Check out this action as Kuhn's in the 11 hugs the inside guardrail completely sideways, while Darland in the 71 Toyota works the top groove. These two will run this way for much of the early going. All the while, Kuhn, the defending USAC National Midget Champion, pulls away. Around this fast quarter mile, the leaders come up on lap traffic in short order. Here, Kuhn works past Mike Straley. Darland has gotten past Kuhn's, but now has to contend with Sweet, the people's champion, and Brad Sweet tussle over the second spot while Kuhn continues to encounter lap traffic. And now Darland and Sweet run across those same lap cars. Darland turn 3, hops the cushion, but gathers it back in without losing the spot. That's former Badger Midget champion Davey Ray. He had a top 10 run all night long in the Fat Fro number 14. Back to the battle for second, and this time Brad Sweet hops the cushion. He too hangs on and doesn't lose a spot. Jerry Coombs Jr. keeps the leaders in sight, but is getting pressure from Tracy Hines in the yellow 24. Lap 28 in the event's first and only caution flies as the engine on Brad Loyette's 05 lets go. Back to the green for the final 2-lap sprint to the checkers, and Kuhn gets the jump on the field. But look at the move by Brad Sweet. He takes over the second spot from Darland. Darland will not give up, however, pinning the car on the bottom of the track, while Sweet goes back up to the top, and the field fans out behind them. Out front, it continues to be all Brad Kuhn. He'll pick up his 8th career USAC National Midget win. Brad Sweet hangs on for the second spot, while Dave Darland rounds out the top 3. The local laps, Bill Holland caught up with our winner in victory lane.
Brad Kuhn getting it done, the Purdue Boilermaker, with what a run in the heart of Wisconsin Badgerland. That 17 car was something tonight.
Yeah, it's the helmet thing's kind of funny because I spent so much time up here racing between 2003 and 2008 that I almost did a Wisconsin Badgers helmet because I got so many friends that are Badger fans and went to school there. So it's always good to get another win here at the Prairie. USAC National win's awesome too. So hopefully we can get this thing revived and I can come back up here more often and maybe get that helmet painted up.
You had a really strong run tonight, leading from wire to wire. They were really going at it behind you, and I'm guessing that's just fine with you.
Yeah, I didn't care what was going on back there. Our car just set sail, and it was perfect. I like to run the top on the cushion and just, go as hard as I can go for 30 laps. And my guys are all wing sprint car racers background, and they love the cushion. So our car's usually pretty good there, and tonight was no different. The thing was just awesome. And, we could move around anytime we had to. And lap cars, they were paying attention to the move over flag, but sometimes at the wrong time you get a run on them. So that was a little hairy a couple times, but nonetheless, the fans here at Angel Park are great. Hopefully the Wilkies can bring some tradition back to this place and get it running again. And I just can't say enough for my guys at Rotundo Wire, at Bennick Motorsports here, and Fontana Automotive is just great.
Brad Kuhn, your winner at Angel Park Speedway.
We're going to take a quick pit stop. We'll be right back.
And here's the racing highlights from the second night of action at Angel Park Speedway.
Before a great Sunday night crowd, Davey Ray in the 14 leads the 22-car field down to the green flag. He'll take the early lead. Dave Darland in the 71 tucks in behind, holds down the second spot. Davey Ray in the 14 goes back out front, but Dave Darland in the 71 moves to the inside of Ray. He'll take over the top spot on lap number 3. Dave Darland's turn out front doesn't last long. By lap 5, Jerry Coons Jr. in the 11 takes the lead. He moves to the inside. The Wilkie Pack number 11 car now out front. The 05 of Brad Loyette, the 24 of Tracy Hines, and the 17B of Brad Kuhn. They battle for positions 4, 5, and 6. When the Fat Throw number 14 of Davey Ray challenges Coons for the lead, he'll make the inside move stick. Davey Ray goes back out front. With 4 laps to go, Davey Ray comes to rest up in corner number 4. His night comes to an end, the result of mechanical problems. Back to green we go, and Jerry Coons Jr. reassumes the lead with Hines, Dave Darland, and the Keith Coons Bullet Chassis number 71, and Brad Sweet giving chase. With 2 laps to go, and Jerry Coons Jr. at the point. Dave Darland, Brad Sweet, and Tracy Hines will give chase. Coons Jr. will lead at the white, but look at Brad Sweet with a great move under Darland. Sweet is not done yet. Into turn 3, Sweet drives under Coons Jr. to capture the win. Jerry Coons Jr. settles for second, with Tracy Hines nipping Dave Darland at the stripe for the 3rd spot.
Vintage racing is history on wheels, and every race car has a story behind it. Jim Hyland's Chevy Nova late model is a tribute to the driver who made this car a winner, the late Minnesota racer Bob Gisola.
It took me about 3 years to buy it from the individual, and there wasn't much left of it when I got it. It had been sitting in a barn for 30 years. I got it. It's been about a 3-year project of restoring it. So this is kind of a tribute to Bob Gisola, the number 4 Flying Finn.
Full-bodied vintage cars make a couple of appearances every year at Golden Sands Speedway. This year's vintage event marks the first appearance of the old Milwaukee area modifieds.
Late 40s they started in the jalopies, and they kind of transformed into the 50s into a little bit more of a race car, and then the 60s got a little more racy, and then the 70s they started going to cars like this, and these ran right through until about the late 90s.
Many of these cars were literally put out to pasture, but vintage modified enthusiasts put in countless hours locating and restoring the old mods. Today, many are back on track.
We're just lucky enough to find it in a barn, and we gave it a new paint job, painted it back to the way it was in 1976. The motor was the same as it was back then. We put oil in it and cleaned her up pretty good, gave her a paint job, and it's fuel injected alcohol, so it's just like it was back in 1976.
Vintage race cars are a little bit like race car drivers. They come in all ages, shapes, and sizes. You can only imagine how much time it takes to restore one of these rolling classics. That's why these drivers absolutely hate to bend them up.
We're racing about 90%. We're not full out just because we respect each other. A lot of these guys have nice cars. Some are a little rough, but we don't want to be fixing them.
There's no prize money involved and certainly no fame or fortune, but vintage racers have their own motivation.
Hopefully it keeps me young, you know. I'm not getting any younger, and just the fact that I can get out and play with a bunch of the guys, and everybody has the same philosophy, have fun and not wreck each other. That's my whole ambition.
At Golden Sands Speedway, I'm Bill Holland with a local lap extra.
Promotional consideration has been provided by Big Game Tree Stands, Scott Fuel Builders, and by Ray Graphics. Post-production facilities for the local lap are provided by Caveman Productions.